asked me how I was doing, it's been a really rough couple of weeks, but now I'm doing pretty well. A few weeks ago, I was at home enjoying a beautiful day. The sunset's going, I'm watching TV, the football game with my wife, and it was good because she was watching it with me, so nothing could go wrong. But all of a sudden, there's this huge commotion, and I thought the kids were home. But it was one of my messengers. He ran in and had this distraught look on his face. And he began to tell me that the oxen and donkeys were attacked. My son and my servants were put to the sword. And he was the only servant that escaped to tell me. He wasn't even finished yet when another servant comes in. And he tells me that a fire from God fell from the sky and burned up the sheep. And he was the only servant that barely escaped with his life. A third servant comes in, and he tells me that all the camels were gone, and that the servants were attacked, and he was the only one that barely escaped with his life. Now there was a fourth servant, and this is where I felt my heart was ripped out. This is where my life turned upside down. This servant came in and he told me that my 7 sons and 3 daughters were at my oldest brother's house, and a gust of wind from the desert flew in to the 4 corners of the house, and it collapsed and killed everyone, and he was the only servant that escaped to tell me. Right then, I didn't even know what to think. My children were gone. My brother was gone. Should I be angry? Should I be sad? Should I just be silent? I just didn't even know what to think. And before I knew it, I was on the floor looking up, and I screamed, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I shall depart. The Lord has given, the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised." Even after all this happened, I couldn't even curse God, because I knew God had blessed me with everything I had in my life. On that Friday, I woke up to the great smell of pancakes, and I was like, oh, my day's gonna be good. I'm gonna have a nice breakfast. I'm so excited. But as I started walking towards the kitchen, I realized it was harder and harder for me to walk. And I looked at my hands, and I saw swords. And then I happened to just look at my entire body, and from the soles of my feet to the top of my head, I was covered in swords. But you know, I still kept trucking on, and I went to the kitchen, and my wife turned around and she looks at me. And she just asked me, why am I still holding on to my integrity? Why don't I curse God and die? I was blown away. I could not believe that my wife would tell me to curse God and die. I cannot believe that she was just so angry at God that for taking away everything, that she would tell me to just give up and forget all about the blessing that God had provided for us. And she wanted me to forget and leave God behind. But I couldn't do that. I wondered, why would she talk like a foolish woman? Why would she think that we could only accept the good from God, but not the troubles? Me and my wife thought it was okay just to serve God when we were going through trials, when we weren't going through trials and tribulations. Maybe she thought it was okay that when God was giving us our blessings, that's when our faith and our trust in God was evident. We need to trust God and have faith that whatever troubles we're going through, that He is going to bring us out of it. Trusting God does not mean He will spare us from trouble, nor does faithfulness to God guarantee success. We need to trust that God knows what is best for us, and that He has a plan and purpose will be accomplished within our lives. I just wondered what my wife was thinking. But I could not listen to her, and I could not curse God, because I knew everything that I had in my life was from God, and it was His. Ultimate faith is not proven by escaping pain, but by demonstrated and depending on God through our trials and tribulations. And through this, I was always going to depend on God. I was always going to run to Him, and I was always, my faith and trust was going to go stronger through my trials. After that situation, I decided just to go out and sit down on my porch. And I just sat there and I was just looking out at everything. When I happened to look up, and I saw these three shadowy figures. At first, I didn't recognize who they were, and as they got closer, I realized these were my three best friends. I was so excited to see them. They knew me like no other. They knew everything about me, and I was just so excited. But all of a sudden, they just stopped. And I wondered, why are you guys stopping? Come on, over here, let's talk. But then I realized that I didn't look the same. I woke up this morning and I was definitely different. I was weaker, skinnier, and they didn't recognize me. But after a few minutes, they started to walk towards me, and we all sat down on our porch in silence. We sat there for 7 days and 7 nights, quiet. On that 8th morning, I got up and I cursed the day that I was born. I began to question God. I began to complain about what was going on. And then I soon came to realize that my friends kind of wanted me to do the same thing and curse God. They thought that God was punishing me because of my sinful natures. They believed that I wasn't really pure at heart, and that if I was really blameless, God would reveal that fact and He would save me from my pain. My situation wasn't getting worse. It wasn't getting better. It was getting worse. So they believed that God was punishing me. They believed that God was a fair God, and He did not bring judgment to those who were righteous. God was angry with me. That is why He punished me. They insisted that I was a sinless man. They insisted I insisted I was a sinless man. But I never thought that I was a sinless man. I simply claimed that I had followed God's ways with all my heart. I could never recall committing any such sin that would warrant this kind of punishment. My friends insisted that it was a result of sin, but my suffering was not a result of sin. They kept just telling me all this over and over again. And I just wanted God to speak to me. I was wondering where He was at this time. And before I knew it, I heard the Lord speak. But not with answers, but He questioned me. Questions that I could not even begin to answer. Questions like, where was I when He laid the foundations of the earth? Who marked off its dimensions? Who stretched a measuring line across it?